All right, y'all. Welcome to Redefine Performance. Hello. See if I can spell. I've taken the liberty of taking it upon myself to document some of my clients and just to see their progress, see what you guys think, see where we're at collaborating. So my name is. Let me get that correct. My name is Coach Rogers, Coach Javier. Hello, Javier. Have Big Hub, uh, Coach Rogers. So it kind of just depends who you're talking to. I've been called a lot of things uh, throughout my lifetime. Uh, so just kind of whatever works. What we do or here, yeah, we're here at Redefine Performance. What we do, right? So essentially, based out of Oklahoma, we we help athletes in Gen Pop LI to achieve their goals, right? For some, it may be uh, gain muscle, lose fat. For others, if you're more of the athletic field, it might be more, if a specific goal, become more agile or work or a better first step, faster, quicker, stronger. It all falls under uh, the same stand, same umbrella. So what do we do? Right, performance training through strength training, and different modalities. Right, it all just depends on the individual, what we're doing, time of the month, time of the year that they're in. If you want to think about it, a quote unquote macro, hello, Marco, macro cycle, right? The period that we're in. So that's me. This is what we do, right? Got summertime, perfect time to make gains, perfect time to get some work in. So let's shift on over here. So first client, first guy we're gonna look at, first client, first girl we're gonna look at, and then we'll go from there. So got a client. I should put it like this. Just keep it easy, no names. Just describe it. Male. We'll go down. Let me add. Let's go. Let's increase the font size a little bit for you guys. So male. Boom. About 6'2". Uh, doesn't matter. This part, no, but it also tell you when it comes to the sport. Well, let's see. What sport does he play? Basketball. And as we go through it, and as I described, they'll kind of be able to tell. Oh, kind of go along with it. So male. We'll just keep it simple. White. What sport does he play? Basketball. He's about 6'2", could be 6'3". Now he goes, or he's entering in his last year of university. So yes, he does. He does do this. College ball. Yes. So he plays college ball. He's male, white, plays basketball. He's 4 years. Doesn't he plays at out of state now? Here's what we're dealing with. Hello, as far as just real quick for the most part, I'm gonna try and tap into this. Let's see. So just to give you some context, let's just get some previous injury history, right? history. My goodness, can't spell. Essentially chronic, if you want to call it that. I'll just put quotations around it. Chronic low back pain. Although it's their most recent. This has been years ongoing. Most recent was a uh, hamstring strain this past school season. Hamstring strain. I think it was I can't remember it right now at the top of my head. I think it was just a simple hamstring strain. So level one, towards the end of his, um, towards the end of regular season. So it probably would have been February, January. Okay, so his return to play protocol. I've had him now for coming up on 4 weeks. He came back home somewhere around the beginning of May. So about 20 days now. So I guess just about under a month. Um, and so that puts him post injury in total from him being at school and then being here and doing everything else in between. Post injury, he is a little over somewhere in that 12 to 14 weeks removed from initial injury. And so in this time frame, obviously, he's been with his school athletic trainer. He's been with his write it in school AT, and had him doing some rehab strengthening things. Uh, Genius, I say genius, great ATC, great athletic training staff there at the school that he goes to, and so he's been rehabbing plus strengthening um, his hamstring strain as best he can. My goodness, I can't spell, y'all. My fault. Okay, plus let's do this strength training, right? Okay, so with that, right, if you've ever had a hamstring strain or if any kind of sort lower body injury, you know that typically, especially when you go back to going through rehab process, rehab protocol, um, in his case, uh, hamstring curls, some ISOs, a lot of ISOs, just kind of build up the tolerance, some running, baseline running to kind of gradually build it in. So on top of that, just recently, and it's gotten better over the last probably week, but 2 weeks ago when he got back. So let me put it like this: basically, because of rehab, he has done little to no running. That is max. That would be effortful. He has done little to no plyos or jump training of sorts just to get his hamstring back in order, right? That's been the main focus to rehab that. And so as you can, if you've ever had an injury of the lower body, if you're about 3 months removed from really trying to do any kind of max jump, any kind of dunking per se, it's hard. So that leads me to this. About coming up on a little bit over a week and a half or so, because he had done nothing for the 3 month period. He came home, we're working, but at the same time while he's home, he also trains on court, the skills trainer, a good friend of mine. And of course, if you know anything, if you go from 0 to 100 too quick, too fast, too much, too soon, you'll get some flare ups and some things. So 3 months of doing nothing has led him now, and it started flaring up about midweek last week. Of all places, some Achilles tendonitis, or if you want to call it, it's mostly Achilles soreness, maybe a little tendonitis just because of that overuse. Um, and so don't worry, it's all good. He's on the up and up. His body is accustomed is accumulating to the volume that he's been at and working in, and now have him um, have him moving well, right? Doing what I can on my end, loading him, but he's also going to see some other doing some other things on his own that he's going to go see, and so we're doing well. Now, now here's a little bit. So this is a little bit of the injury history, right? Now, I say a little bit, right? It's kind of looks like a lot, but this is just recent. Um, here's where we're at. Here's some of his specs, right? And it's hard to tell. I had him last summer, and obviously having a good structure, having a good program, understanding that each athlete is individually, what works for one doesn't work for another. And the beauty of what I do is, because I'm not in a team setting currently, I have semi small group training. I'm able to kind of focus in on and make each, we could be doing some kind of, whatever, incline bench press, right? I can individualize the reps and schemes per individual, or if we're doing, say, some type of dumbbell goblet squat, right? Somebody can have their heels elevated, the other one can go to a box, blah, 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 to kind of fix in or lock in on certain aspects, whether it's external rotation, internal rotation. So that leads me to this. Here's his injury history. Oh, hello. Now, some with what I'm dealing with now, it's unfortunate because last year he made great strides. I'm not gonna get into that. Um, so here's some specs on him. It's the easiest way to do it. Specs. Uh, he's quick. He's smooth. He plays smooth. He knows how to play. He moves well. He's a good mover, but he's not. He's he's basketball strong, right? Lower body primarily is where everything's at. Here's where he's not. Not he's not, and of course his game tailors. So he's more of a two guard. Right? He's shooter. That's what he's known for on the court. Off the court, obviously he can handle the rock. He can be kind of a combo guard, combo from time to time as needed, but he's primarily known to shoot, right? So as a shooter, it's kind of what on the court do you need most? Okay, so something that I'm incorporating more is doing more on court curved runs into shots. So two guard, right? He's a shooter. He's quick. He's smooth. He moves well. He understands um, basketball. Understands understands basketball. Understands S and C, whether you want to call it strength and performance, strength conditioning. And he's strong, basketball, b-ball strong. So he understands S&C from a well progressed model, and that's coming from, anyways, a place that I'm sure many of you will or kind of can relate to. So here's what he's not. Obviously, he's not the fastest. Some will say, does he have to be fast? Not necessarily, but it also helps to have the capability to be able to start and stop. He's not the fastest. He's not the strongest. So if you want to I think of him more like a Kyrie type as far as build goes. He's not he's not gonna wow you with his speed. He's not slithery, if you want to think of it like that, like a IT. But he's got the stuff. He's basketball strong, like Kyrie. Kyrie's not the strongest player on the court, but he knows how to use his body. He knows how to get to his spots, and he does that well. He does that efficiently. So he's not the fastest. He's not the strongest, and he's not. How do I put this? He's not necessarily. I'll just put it like that. He's not necessarily the most agile, but I will say his cutting, which is also a lot of what we're kind of focused on this off season. Cutting and stuff is not his forte. Obviously, when you play sports and stuff, you do a lot of that already on court. So now just kind of dosing it in appropriately as we go throughout the week. So again, here's the specs, right? With him, we go 4 times a week plus one, about 30 minute active recovery session. So technically, if you want to think about it, five days a week. Those other four are 1 hour sessions, and then he'll usually come in on a fifth day, about 30-40 minutes before he gets his big shot day shooting, his big shooting day up. So that's usually when we'll do like active recovery just to keep him loose and get him feeling well. So here is where we're at. Whoop. All right, here's where I'm at, right? Boom. Here's some of his specs. It's great. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so for some of you who know these terms, he would classify more under he is, I would say, well, let me put it like this. If we're looking at a force, his force velocity profile, or just in general, looking at the force velocity curve, he has not necessarily more twitch fibers that'll make him more fast, but he has more velocity capabilities. He leans more towards velocity rather than uh, force uh, capabilities, and it shows in his game. Again, like I said, he's quick, he's smooth, he moves well, he reacts well, slides well, right? That I kind of intersect that with moving well, but his thing here is again looking at the nod. He's not the fastest, he's not the strongest. He doesn't cut consecutively well, but he does, and off the initial recover step, cross step to get back in front, he does well. So it's more past that is where he kind of gets a little bit caught up. So that plays into here. So he's more velocity based, rather force based. So this month, and I'll have him for the month of June, and then he'll head back to where he goes to school at for the month of July. So here's my question. And of course, we're already doing a lot of stuff. I know that everything is context dependent when it comes to training. But and I'm coming from a place that I don't do a lot of Olympic lifting with my athletes, only because, and this plays into knowing who you're working with, only because I make sure I ask my guys, my girls, what do you guys do at school? Whether you're in high school, middle school, whether you're at the college level, what's your training age? Uh, are you familiar with Olympic lifts? And typically, my goal is to give them what they don't get at school in the team setting, right? Typically at schools, what's your training setting? I'll just put it like that. Typically at schools, whether you're basically at any level, for the most part, will teach some sort of Olympic lifting. So my goal is not to give them what they're already getting at school. My goal is just to kind of refine, kind of keep it in rotation, but I'll substitute, instead of using barbell, I'll do like a dumbbell snatch, or I'll do dumbbell cleans, dumbbell jerks. Not really jerks, but the farthest I'll really go or use is dumbbell cleans and dumbbell snatches. That's about as much quote unquote Olympic lifting I'll do with my people. And I'll focus more on the speed, acceleration. So here's my focus, right? Speed, acceleration, right? Strength and performance, strength, want them to move well, be mobile, but not too mobile. Oh, man, I can't spell. Don't want them to be hypermobile, but want them to have access to different uh, movements and variability, right? My focus is movement quality. Uh, it's, change of direction, all that good stuff. Plyos, lower and upper, lower body and upper, right? And now let the schools handle the Olympic lifting. So that's where that kind of logic comes into play. Now, of course, I know people are gonna be like, well, if you did this, 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 there's a lot of, I say it like this. There's more than one way to. Now, I don't really like the idea of this, but the concept of this is how I kind of approach it. There's more than one way. Woohoo, one way to skin a cat, right? 2 plus 2 equals what? 4. So does 5 minus 1, right? Now, if it's for the benefit of the athlete and not the benefit of the coach, then how we get there shouldn't matter as long as we're all working for the individual in front of us. So here is my proposal to you. Obviously, everything is training context dependent, but if you look at what we're working with here, his specs. Let me zoom out. So he's entering his 4th year at college ball. 6'2", basketball. He's a male, white. If you needed to know if that kind of plays into anything. Previous injury history. Just kind of keeping it simple. We're kind of ramping back up his conditioning, although he's already kind of getting past that. Here's his specs. He's not the fastest, strongest, right? Agility. So when it comes to a force velocity curve, he's more velocity based than force based. So my question is, how would you approach? How would you approach an athlete like this? So I'll just do this. I'll separate this. My question is, how would you? I'll just do this. How would you approach an athlete like this? Again, he plays basketball, so not football, not soccer, not tennis, none of that. Strictly basketball, and then occasionally goes and plays golf. So rotation, all that good stuff. How would you approach an athlete like this to help them, you know, jump higher, run faster, move better? What are some ideas, methods, training methods that you would approach on this? Obviously, conjugate. There's the conjugate method, 1-3-5. I use something similar to a 1-3-5. Um, so like for my high school group, for some of my high school guys, because June here in Oklahoma is more of team ball setting and not AAU. This month I'm going to use it more of like, hey, let's get you stronger. Let's get you, this quote unquote hypertrophy. Like let's build a muscle spindles, muscle fibers, and let's just grow and stress the body in that manner, in that way. But there's conjugate, there's 1-3-1, there's Cal Dietz, man, what is it? Triphasic training. There's German volume. There's German volume training. Verko, I can't spell his name. Verko Fansky. Super training. Right. There's all kinds of things, right? And I kind of dip in and out of, just kind of depending on the time of the year, right? I kind of dip or kind of pair each one, right? If you want to call it contrast training, each one's obviously specific to the time. So, anyways, how would you approach an athlete like this, knowing he's coming back from injury? He's not 100% as far as running. He has some Achilles flare ups, Achilles soreness, uh, implementing more ISOs. Don't want him to, is it overtraining? Is he under eating? Right. What would your approach be? Um, So this week, I'm moving forward. We're gonna take a look at some of my other clients, some of my other guys and girls. Won't say any names. Keep everything as far as who they are and stuff uh, on on a hush hush, on a client professional level. But for the most part, I'll describe some of the things that we're doing. But would love to hear what are some things that you would be interested to kind of implement. And as you share or as you kind of um, share your thoughts with me, with us, and with the world, I'll get back to you. I'll look into it a little bit more and see what works, see what doesn't work, and hey, if you know something that I don't, and I know something that you don't, would love to um, contrast, love to compare, love to um, you know learn just as much as I do in books. Learn from another individual coach who's done this longer than I have for the last we're coming up on 4 or 5 years now of training athletes, training individuals. Well, I guess coming up on 6 years in the fall. So end of my 5 years. So, anyways, love it. Welcome to Refine Performance. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. All is well. Catch you soon.